Good morning, everyone. This is episode 78 of the 476ers podcast. We're going to talk about yesterday's Utah Jazz game plus some of the other West Coast games.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 78 of the 476ers podcast. Your boy is back here talking about basketball. All right, let's talk about yesterday's game. It was actually a pretty genius move by, I didn't feel great when I saw that Mike Scott was starting. First, I'm like, oh, great. Here, Joel's out again. It's the best game, one of the biggest games of the season. We're going to play arguably the best team out west. And, Joe's counterpart is, this French crep, who stopped the NBA completely last, such an incredible defender that he could just stop the NBA in its tracks. I am not a fan of Rudy Gobert, if it's not clear. And I am not he is one of the few people that I just don't like him generally. I just always see him doing extra shit. You know what I mean? He's just always doing too much, in my opinion. So, obviously about half an hour before game time, Joe gets scratched with his back injury, which we'll talk about in a second. And, Doc decides we're going to start Mike Scott. So I was not feeling great about that, but it was genius. It ended up working out because, like, to his credit, he said, he wanted to get Rudy on Ben. And, because Rudy can't guard Ben. Well, let me be clear. Rudy as a defender is a bit overrated. And I've been saying that shit for a while. Yeah, he gets blocks, but you saw last night in the game where Ben as a finisher isn't really anything special. We know that. We've seen it. We've seen it since he's come here. As a finisher, he's whatever. In the open court, for sure, he can be dominant, but, he finished a few times over Rudy. Him, Ben, and Toby just decided we're going to go at Rudy. We're just going to go to the rim today. All day, we're going to go to the rim. We don't care that he's there because he is not really a concern. You know what I mean? You're not going to tell me that Rudy's a better defender than Joe in no way, shape, or form. I'm just going to say that. But credit to Ben who, comes out urgent. Again, I'm going to keep saying the word urgency, because that's really all it is with Ben. It is completely about urgency. Is he being urgent today? And you could see it from tip-off. He knew. He completely understood what was happening. He understood a few things. He understood, A, we're on a losing streak. He understood, B, no, Joel, we can't just keep losing just because Joe's not playing. He understood, C, that him and Donovan had their little back and forth and, he wasn't going to stand for that shit. And he understood, D, that he's on the fringe of all-star consideration. He may not be an all-star. In my book, he's not an all-star. Yesterday's game, okay, that's a nice thing to make yourself an all-star, but I'm just saying that he's not an all-star and he wanted to prove himself, that he wanted to prove that he is an all-star, in fact. And that is how you get 19 points in the first quarter. Incredible. An incredible quarter to watch. Was just dominant. Was just dominant. And it's what's disappointing, what makes me angry about it, I can't help but be frustrated, is that that this can exist all the time. We know you can do this, Ben. We know you can grab the rebound and fucking go. And then when we need to go into half court, we got Joe. It don't need to be all complicated. Just get the fucking ball and go, man. They're going to run with you. And no one can stop you when you're in the open court. That's what makes us different than the Bucks, right? If you could be 75% of Giannis in the open court, but yeah, honestly, let me actually take that back. As long as guys are running, as long as Seth, Danny, and Toby are out there running and Joe is trailing, you can be 100% of Giannis's productions. Maybe not point-wise, but in terms of setting up three-pointers, that all equals out in the end. The difference is that when the game gets late and in the playoffs, Giannis struggles. You know what I mean? And the Bucks haven't figured out that you need to be going through Chris Middleton when shit gets tight. They just haven't figured it out. I mean, yeah, the other day, Giannis shot a game-winning three-pointer. I mean, it was not a game winner. It was a game losing because he missed. And everyone on the court, they asked, who did they ask? I forgot who they asked. They asked somebody. I forgot who they played. I don't remember who the game was against. Oh, it was against the Suns. They asked Devin, how did you feel when, you saw him taking that shot? He said, I thought we were in good shape. That is crazy. That's the MVP last year. And listen, Giannis is dominant. I'm not here to take it away, but the point being, you would never feel good if Chris Middleton was shooting a three. It's better that he get these late game reps now instead of waiting for the playoffs. I'm not a Bucks fan. That's not the point. I don't care. I don't care what the Bucks are doing. It doesn't matter. Point being, when the game gets tight, we go into the half court. That's what Joe is for. Joe, take over. This is your game now. In the open court, Ben, this is my game. The other side of that is to the point I've been making since day one. I understand that Doc likes to have Ben and Joe on the court together, and maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe what I'm about to say is wrong. But I think that games like yesterday prove why you should be staggering the lineups a little bit so that Ben has more time on the court away from Joe so that you can maximize his production. Maybe you put out a lineup of Ben, Toby, Danny, let's say Matisse, and Shake or Furkan, one of the two, right? Something like that. And then on the other side, you have a lineup of Seth, Furkan, Matisse, Mike Scott, and Joe. You know what I mean? Something like that, where these, where the bench players obviously are filling in gaps and are playing with multiple lineups. And you have something like that so that you can still have shooting around Joe. Joe can dominate. And then the other side, you have young guys that can run with Ben. You know what I mean? And you have Dwight with Ben, and that's why they want to partially trade, why they're considering trading for this guy, for Nemanja Bjelica, who, stood us up 2 years ago, so he can fuck out of here. But the point being that you could then at times say, no, we're not going to go Dwight. Let's go Nemanja. We need more offense and more shooting right now, and let Ben go. Let Ben be the car engine that he can be, right? That's what Ben was yesterday. I thought Ben played great. Defensively, I didn't think there was a whole lot. Listen, we didn't play any defense yesterday. You know what I mean? We didn't play defense yesterday. There was no defense played. On this road trip, there was no defense played. Let me be clear. I know a lot of people are blowing Ben for what happened with the Trailblazers, and I'll talk about that in a second. But there wasn't a whole lot of defense. When Ben was matched up on Donovan, I thought he did a good job on Donovan Mitchell, but I also thought Matisse did a fantastic job on Donovan too. You know what I mean? But this Jazz team is really good. Let's keep in mind, they didn't even have Mike Conley. Mike Conley right now leads the NBA in plus minus. You know what I mean? Which, plus minus is imperfect, but the point being that Mike Conley's been really, really good is my point. You know what I mean? He's been really, really good this year, and they didn't have him. At any given time, very much like the Warriors of 3 years ago. Shout out to Vic. This was Vic's whole thing. Not 3 years ago, 5 years ago. This was Vic's whole thing. Have playmakers. It don't matter who the point guard is. What the Warriors do is put out 5 playmakers. That's essentially what they were doing 5 years ago. Even with you got Draymond. Yesterday, Draymond had 16 assists. Draymond, who is a playmaker. Steph, who's a playmaker. Clay, who can play make, although that's not his specialty. At that time, Harrison Barnes, who can play make, although that's not his specialty. And Andrew Bogut, who was a very good defender and a very good passer. You know what I mean? So you have all these guys who can pass, who can play make, who are unselfish, and then bang, you got this. Well, that's what the Jazz have built here. It's whether the ceiling of Donovan and the ceiling of Rudy is enough to win a championship. That's going to be the question. I don't think so, because I don't think Rudy's that good personally. I do think Donovan is that good. You know what I mean? Put it this way. If you put Joel on that team instead of, and this is obvious, but just the point, if you put Joel on that team or if you put Joker on that team instead of Rudy, that's a championship team without a question in my mind. Or if you replace Rudy with Anthony Davis, replace Rudy with fucking Bam, replace Rudy with, I don't even know, with Robin Lopez. And I'm not Robin Lopez, I'm joking. But the point being, so this is a very difficult team. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They're 9-1 in the last 10. They're the best team arguably in the NBA. They just ran through the East's best teams. They ran through us, the Celtics, the Bucks. They got to play the Clippers twice next. They're a legit team. You know what I mean? Are they championship contenders? I don't think so. This team is just a few months removed from giving up a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. Let's not forget that the Nuggets are legit. And the Nuggets, I think, are very much turn it on, turn it off right now because they've been in the playoffs. They've been deep. I don't think the regular season interests them that much, although it should interest them more since they're young and they haven't done much. And I think Joker doesn't view it that way, but I think guys like Jamal Murray may have that type of mindset. But point being, this is not an easy game. It's not an easy game. You're playing one of the best teams. And I thought that Toby and I thought Ben really did do everything they could. Toby got himself out of control. I don't know how he had 0 turnovers according to this. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, he really was wilding on certain. Some shots were crazy. Some passes were. I mean, he was wilding out there. Just asked to do too much. Ultimately, is what it was. 14 for 24 though. That's fantastic. Obviously, their best offensive lineup are not full of a lot of great defenders. You know what I mean? Even if Rudy was Joe, it's still going to be a struggle. But the point being, that's a rough game. I don't think there's a whole lot to take from it negatively or positively. I'm glad to see that Ben played. Really the best thing that no one's mentioned about yesterday's Ben game is that he was 12 for 13 from the free throw line. I mean, that's fucking incredible for someone. I mean, listen, I mentioned this at the beginning of the season when he was missing free throws. Every year for the first month of the season, he's trash. And then all of a sudden, he starts picking it back up. That's what happened last year, too. And that's now what's happening this year. It happened 2 years ago. And now he's got his free throw percentage up to 67%, which is a career high. The other thing, though, that you should keep in mind is that, he's averaging 18 in his last, essentially since January 31st, he's averaging 18 a game. But that's because of this game. Before that, he was averaging 13 a game. So it's not really, that great. His numbers were kind of down a bit on this road trip is kind of what my point is. Then to the other side of it, before we get to any other games, I thought Mike Scott shot well. That made me happy to see. I'm glad to see Mike back and shooting well. I think Mike Scott could be an important piece. Not that he's going to play a ton of minutes, but it's nice to have a reliable backup who can. He was shooting before he got injured. He was shooting really well for his career. I think he's like a 36% three-point shooter. And he's, a good hard-nosed defender and, some guy that you can send into a fight, right? You need those guys, right? Markieff Morris starts acting up. Ben, don't worry about Mike. Get him. Danny struggled. Danny struggled. Again, three-point shot don't travel. Common sense don't travel. His common sense don't travel. Just wilding on a couple plays. A sidestep three-pointer at one point made no damn sense. In the guts of the game, he's passing the ball. He just can't wait to turn the ball over. He manages not to turn the ball over at the end of the game. But I mean, there were passes that it was just like, it just frazzled. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on there. Defensively, not a ton to say about him defensively. The game yesterday was really interesting because just like the Kings game one, the Jazz have been getting out and running in transition. We were getting out and running in transition. So it was a bit of a track meet, just like that Kings game. But with that said, I thought Danny was a solid defender. He just is. He's just always going to be a solid defender. On the other side, Seth, yesterday was not a good game for my boy Seth. And I love Seth. I do like Seth a lot. I'm a big fan of Seth, but that was rough. That was rough for him. He didn't deserve the treatment that Jordan Clarkson gave him in the first quarter. He didn't deserve that. He just didn't deserve it. You know what I mean? He just didn't deserve it. And that's going to bring me to an interesting point. We play a lot of drop coverage off pick and rolls. Now, Jordan was on fire as soon as he walked into the game. All right, he was shooting crazy three-pointers other than screens. But once he started coming off screens, after he hit the first 2 3-pointers, it didn't matter after that. I mean, he's just coming off screens and draining them. It doesn't make a difference. It's too late. Seth getting dominated, just getting completely picked apart defensively. Poor guy. Poor guy by Jordan Clarkson. Michael Jordan Clarkson. I mean, wow. Holy Lord, have mercy. It's Jordan Clarkson. I mean, it's only Jordan Clarkson. Okay, I understand he's a 6th man of the year, but Lord, please, someone lock him the fuck down. Furkan, wow. Ooh. We score 190 points, and somehow Furkan can't score one. My man he went 0 for 5, and the 0 for 5 were all bad shots, as far as I can remember. I mean, all just stupid fucking shots. Furkan suffers, aside from the green light syndrome that we know he suffers from, there's this other thing that players like him suffer from. There's like the Kobe Bryant thing. Rest in peace. When a guy gets really good at hitting difficult shots, typically difficult shots are bad shots. Let's be clear. All right, difficult shots are typically bad shots. They're typically shots you shouldn't shoot because they're difficult. You want to shoot open shots, easy shots. That's how you get good buckets. But then you got guys like Kobe who can hit difficult shots, not at a high percentage, but can hit difficult shots. So a guy like Furkan, who is adept at pump faking, hitting the pump fake off rhythm shot. I'm sorry, I said rhythm like I was, about to go into. I'm about to bring out the big the bass drums. I'm about to break it down on him. Throws them sugar. Anyway, a guy like Furkan who can hit an off rhythm pump fake shot, all of a sudden thinks that he's good. Any shot is good. That's why the green light picked him out like the Green Lantern. Much like the Green Lantern, the ring flies across the universe to find a suitable host for the ring, right? It needs to find someone that's like, I can place my faith, the power of the ring, I can place into this man's hands, for he is worthy. Much like Thor's hammer, who saw Captain America as worthy in Endgame. The green light has bestowed its power upon Furkan because it believes that Furkan is worthy of taking stupid fucking shots and missing them, and continuing to take stupid fucking shots and missing them. Just like what I believe is happening in WandaVision with Nightmare, just feeding off of the dreams and nightmares. The green light feeds off of stupid fucking shots. And it gets no more power than being attached to Furkan, who gets all these minutes to shoot dumb fucking shots. Matisse played fantastic defense, man. Game-changing defense. The only thing I'm going to say, Matisse, is that Doc kind of fucked up. Yeah, I'm going to get to Doc in a second of this game, because he makes one good decision and then a multitude of poor decisions. But Matisse's defense, I thought, again, on this road trip, Matisse's defense has been otherworldly. Over the last month, he's been a difference maker. And I've been saying, that's what I said at the beginning of the season. Listen, if your offense can't do shit and all you're doing is fouling and playing stupid defense, then you can't be on the court. If you're playing game-changing defense and your offense is whatever, then you can play on the court. There was one great play. Matisse is so reliant on his defense to go good to influence his offense. It's wild, because there's one great play where he steals the ball. They go in transition. He steals the ball from Jordan Clarkson, who at this point is the Human Torch. Johnny Storm, the Marvel crossover is here. The Fantastic Four is here. It's Jordan Clarkson is the Human Torch. And Matisse cools that bitch right off, steals the ball from him, and, dribbles back kind of in traffic, looks ahead and sees Ben and fires a beautiful pass through traffic to Ben for a dunk. Well, it was a hell of a pass. A pass that I promise you I didn't think Matisse could make. I assure you, if this happened on LA Fitness, I would have been like, get the fuck out of here. He can't make that pass. Stop that. He made that pass. It's excellent. Matisse played great. He played great all road trip. I'm happy for the kid, man. He's a good kid. You know what I mean? He's a good kid. I thought that maybe he stopped talking to Dwight and they stopped making stupid fucking fouls together. The dumb fucking foul brothers. He said, I don't want to be part of this brotherhood anymore. I'm done with I don't want to be brothers with a stupid fucking fouler. Dwight, I'm sorry. And Dwight said, that's cool, man. Much like the green light, Dwight said, I can't pass my power along to you of the stupid fouls. So, go ahead and be with Ben then. Be a smart defensive player. Tyrese is struggling, floating in and out of games. Not his fault. He's not getting consistent minutes, doesn't know when he's going to play. You would think that, once Shake was out, you would be a little bit more confident that you can get more minutes, and with the more minutes, it's not helping him. It's not helping him. I mean, stupid foul. He fouls Jordan Clarkson on a three-pointer. It was a bad shot by Jordan. Jordan is the proponent of the green light. I assure Jordan is the green light has become so massive from yesterday's game. It could have been, I'm sorry, because Jordan was making all those shots. The green light kind of needs you to miss shots. The green light needs you to miss shots so it can feed on it. And Jordan was not missing shots. But the green light loves Jordan Clarkson. And he takes a stupid three, on Maxey, and Maxey takes his leg out, at the end of the third quarter. And that's pretty much the end of Maxey's time. I thought Dwight played pretty well, you know what I mean? Obviously 14 points and 12 rebounds, just being a pest, being annoying. More importantly, in the guts of the game, he made a couple times he ended up getting fouled. He made 4 out of 6 free throws. That's fantastic for him. You know what I mean? He doesn't make free throws. So I thought that was fantastic for him. Isaiah Joe came. He had a couple good hustle plays. But ultimately, to me, this game, we could have won this game. It just comes down to coaching. You make the good decision of Mike Scott starting. We see that lineup at the beginning of the first and the beginning of the third, and we don't see it again. Because then you rely on Dwight, which ends up working. Dwight does end up working. However, for whatever reason, I guess because and this is what's supposed to separate me, some asshole, from Doc Rivers, a Hall of Fame coach, is that, and maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I'm gonna give you my side of it, and it's sensible, and you're gonna hear it, and you're gonna be like, you know what, Brian, that's a good fucking point. I wonder what Doc feels about that. You go into a zone. A zone gets defeated by two things, okay? Well, or three things, arguably. A good passing big man, or someone that you can plant at the top of the zone and in the free throw line to collapse the zone. Shooters, and someone who can drive and or collapse the defense to pass out to open shooters. And so we go into a zone, and they only have shooters. All they have are shooters, and Donovan, an elite penetrator, someone who can get to the rim almost at will without the zone being there, and a playmaker. All these guys are playmakers except for Royce. Except for Royce O'Neal. Royce is just a 3-and-D guy. Thank God Mike Conley isn't there, because then you got four playmakers. Bogdanovich, Joe Ingles, these guys are playmakers. That's what they are. It's why I thought their offense would be better last year than it was, and it just didn't work out. This year, it's working out. They are a product of holding out, keeping the group together, and letting them build together, find continuity together, and now their offense is wild. You know, because they have four playmakers on the court at a time. Well, anyway, they don't have Mike Conley. Either way, all of them, I may get these percentages wrong. Royce is a 44% three-point shooter. Ingles is a 44% three-point shooter. Bogdanovich and Donovan are 40% three-point shooters. So you have four of elite. They're elite, above average three-point shooters on the court. Two that are elite, two that are above average, and then you have, you know, you got the tall guy, long, the biggest feet. You have Bigfoot, and we're in the zone. Well, of course they're going to get open three-point shots then. We're in a zone. They're getting open three-point shots, and that's what happens at the end of the game. Royce is, through the first three quarters, no points. In the last quarter, goes 3 for 5. Three-pointers. 3 for 5 from three, because he's just shooting open three-pointers at the elbows, which is the weak part of the zone, because Danny's collapsing to the middle as the zone is shifting, and here's Royce wide open on this side, then on the other side. It don't matter on whatever. It don't matter what side he's on. No matter what side he's on. On the white side, strong side, weak side. Remember the Titans. It don't matter. He's there, open, wide open threes. Not sure why we went into a zone there. It doesn't really make a ton of sense. Then on the other side, Jordan comes in. Once Jordan comes in, I mean, he walks into the game and his hand is illuminated with embers. It's clear his hand is the embers are illuminated upon his palm. He's about to throw fireballs, and as soon as he makes a few, we don't make any adjustments to say, you know, Jordan gets this way. The problem is, it's not like some random guy got hot, right? Like when Gary Trent. When they played us at home, the Blazers, and Gary Trent and Anthony Simons get hot, and you're just like, well, what the fuck is this, right? No, it's not that. Jordan is going to be the sixth man of the year this year precisely because he gets hot and can go fucking bonkers offensively, right? He can shoot guys out of games, shoot teams out of games, but when you win the sixth man because the majority of the time you're keeping the team into games, and we don't make any adjustments. What is Matisse here for? If not for that. If not for that, you have Ben and Matisse. Put one on Donovan, put one on him, or get Danny on him. Do one or the other. Save Seth the trouble. Hide Seth on Royce. Royce is not a guy. Royce is just Royce. He's not even Royce. He's not Royce. He's not the best Royce. He's not Rose. He's not Royce the 5'9". He's none of the good Royces. He's just Royce. He's Royce. Put Seth on Royce. Man. And please, Matisse is a fire extinguisher. This man is on fire. Extinguish the fire. It's common sense. It's very simple, very easy to understand. It's not physics. It's not astrophysics. This person is shooting and is hot. Matisse, you are the cooler. Take him out, please. Take him out. That's what he's here for. So anyway, I thought it was a winnable game. We lost because I thought of some poor coaching decisions, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, hit me in the comments. No one ever hits me in the comments and tell me I'm wrong, though, because I'm fucking right. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. This was a bad road trip. Not good. Not a good road trip. We got Joe with the back problems. Listen, Joe, you're not playing in the All-Star game. I swear to God, if you end up in that, if you play in the All-Star game, I'm gonna throw hands with you. You're gonna watch me. You'll beat the shit out of me. But I just want you to know that I would be so angry if you played in the All-Star game. I'd be willing to march into an ass whooping to prove the point that you should not be playing in the All-Star game. That's my point. Please do not play in the All-Star game. It's common sense. If your back is bad, you may need to take off until the All-Star game, until that break, which is, what is that, 2 weeks? If you got a bad back, you're going to need to take time off. That's all I can say. The back thing is concerning. It's concerning. It's concerning because when he got drafted, that's what people were scared of. He dropped in the draft because of his back. That is concerning. You know what I mean? That is concerning. We haven't seen the back problem rear its ugly head since he was drafted. He's had a ton of other problems, including shitting himself sometimes, having problems playing in playoff games because of indigestion. But the back problem following him, that's terrifying. It's on his back, you could say. You know what I mean? It's right on his back, the back problem. So that's a little scary. Maybe you got to take some time off, Joe. Maybe it's time to rest up a bit, take some time off. You've been carrying us for so long, your back hurts. You know what I mean? Listen, we need the 1 seed. No question. I think we need the 1 seed. I think we should be playing to be the best record in the NBA. But sooner or later, if the Lakers are going to lose some power, to lose some steam because AD is going to be out for a couple weeks. If the Jazz are playing this way, I don't think the Jazz are going to the finals. You got to be watching the Lakers. If your concern is going to the finals, right? Watch the Lakers. What is their record? Let's compete with that record and sit Joe accordingly. You know what I mean? It's kind of how I think about it. Because I don't give a fuck where you play. It don't matter where LeBron plays. LeBron don't matter where he play. You know what I mean? That dude's just going to watch whomever. You know what I mean? It's going to be if AD is healthy or not. So I don't know what's going to happen. That's a little scary. This was a bad road trip. We fucking go 1-3. We lose to the Suns. I mean, the loss to the Suns, that was the least surprising thing. Joe, it was clear that Joe was hampered that whole game. I mean, he still scores a ton, but it was obvious his back was bothering him. At the end of the half, he kind of hunched over. You could see it. And he wasn't playing defense. He left his defense in Sacramento or in Portland. You know what I mean? Where if Enes Kanter played Joe every single game, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. Just 2020s everywhere. 2020 like ABC. You know what I mean? Breaking down the news. That's Enes Kanter. Breaking down the news on your ass every time he plays Joel. 2020s. And it was clear that his back was back. He didn't play defense against the Suns. It was not a good game. It was not a good game for us. Captain, and this brings me to the comments. Ben, I think I'm the best defender in the NBA. Toby, I think I should be in the All-Star game. This game here, you have a better argument. Let's not just gloss over the Suns game where Danny Green was guarding in the battle of the light-skinned Danny Green versus Devin Booker in the first half, was guarding Devin really well. And then in the battle of light-skin round 2, Devin Booker versus Ben Simmons, Devin baked the shit out of him. Baked him alive. Cooked him. He roasted him. Over a fire, he roasted him. In the second half, Devin did all of the damage against Ben. And then they keep giving him credit for the Portland game. Listen, he played good individual defense on Dame. Dame gets off 19 points in the first quarter, and then we say, okay, Ben, go on him. But that's not the only thing that happened. And that's what frustrates me about the way we talk about basketball, because that is only part of what happened. This is how narratives form, right? This is exactly, look what Ben did against Dame. If you watch the game that you see in the second half, we completely changed our defensive game plan, our strategy. Typically, we play drop coverage against screen and roll. The Trailblazers feast on screen and roll. The whole reason why they traded for Nurkic 3 years ago was because he was one of the best screeners in the league. The reason why they traded for Hassan Whiteside last year, because he's a very good screener. The reason why they brought in Enes Kanter is because he's a really good screener. All they want to do is screen and rolls. And if you allow Dame to screen open to a wide open three, he's going to kill you. And he's a good enough passer. He's not Steph Curry, in my opinion, levels. He's a very good passer. I just don't think he's as good as passer as Steph is. I don't think he's as good as anything as Steph is. That's beside the point. And if you blitz him, then he's going to pass the ball. That's all we did. And he forced some bad shots for sure. He was forcing some shots. What we did was we started blitzing him on screen and rolls. That is what changed. It wasn't that Ben guarded him and shut him down. It's that Ben and Joel blitzed him on those screens. And what's frustrating about that is we talk about Ben's defense as if it's not completely tied to Joel's defense. We are complete, and the reason why I bring that up is because in terms of narrative, if we want Joel to be the MVP, right, the narrative has to change, because it's not just the offense. It's that defensively he causes a million issues on defense. His defense allows Ben to be ultra aggressive on the perimeter. That's what allows Ben to go ultra aggressive on the perimeter, because when Joe is there, any screen and roll gets shut down. If you're a guard, he keeps you in front of he keeps you in front of him. And if you throw a lob, he's most likely going to steal it, unless it's an elite lob getter, someone like DeAndre who can jump out of the gym, or like Rudy would typically feast on that because his arms go through the fucking roof, even though he's trash, garbage. Talking about Ben's defense away from Joel's defense does a disservice to how great Joel's defense actually is. That's the point. Ben's defense he shuts down Dame when Joe is feeling good defensively. And then against the Suns, when Joe is struggling on defense, he's struggling to get up and down the court because of his back, Devin Booker lights us ablaze. Well, what do you think changed? You think Devin is better than Dame? There are no numerical statistics that support that argument. There's nothing that supports that argument. That offensively, Devin is better than Dame. There's nothing that supports that. Oh, could it be that Joel's injured now, and therefore Ben doesn't have the help he needs on defense? Ben is an elite perimeter defender. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not an elite perimeter defender. He is. But the problem with Ben is because of his size. And this is exactly why he struggles driving to the lane. To the lane. Someone like when we had Markelle, for example, you would see in games Markelle be better at getting to the rim than Ben. Or even Shake is really good at getting to the rim. Why do you think that is? I want you to think about that for a second. Why would these guys be better than Ben getting to the rim? It's simple. It's simple physics. It's that Ben is too big. These guys knife through the lane. They're able to knife through the lane. Well, okay, you take that same logic and now you apply it to defense. Well, what happens when someone sets a screen? Ben is too big to get through the screen cleanly. So he's always going to either be chasing, or something Ben is really good at, same thing that Matisse is really good at, is going under, using his athleticism and length to still contest the shot if they pull up in that situation. You know what I mean? And then they're really good at replanning themselves quickly, so that if they don't shoot and try to drive, they're able to reestablish themselves and stay in the picture. But the point being, they can't get through screens because of their size. They require a big man like Joe, who is a fantastic defender, who, if he ends up in the perimeter, it's not typically a win for you. And if he's dropping back in coverage against the screen, you're shit out of luck, because now you have someone who is tall, quick, and active enough to contest any shot you put up. And the longer you wait, the better, right? Because then you can keep Joe on his toes and fire up a floater. But then you got Ben and or Matisse behind you chasing you, end up eating that, so it doesn't work out. Ben is a fantastic perimeter defender, but saying that pretending that he shut down Dame is completely taking away the credit from the fact that they were blitzing Dame on screen and roll, and Joel is also part of the reason why Dame didn't have that success. Doesn't matter, we lost the fucking game anyway. But that's the point. That's my diatribe. Ben is first team all defense, no question about it. Is he defensive player of the year? I don't think so. And if defensive player of the year spent more time looking at the advanced stats, right? Because blocks and steals are not the only way to judge stats. Our starting five, specifically, when Joe is in the game, and this has been true for now 3 or 4 years, I think, right? When Joe plays, any lineup, when Joe and especially Ben play, is the best defensive lineup in the NBA. It's simple math, man. It's just simple. Subtract Joe, we are trash. Add Joe, we are great. It's boop that simple. He, to me, would be the argument for defensive player of the NBA, because he is the reason why all the perimeter defenders that we have that are good are allowed to be aggressive on the perimeter because Joe cleans up so much shit that these guys don't have to worry about. You know what I mean? So, whatever. That's how I feel. We play tomorrow. We play the Rockets. The Rockets are reeling right now. The Rockets have lost 5 straight or 4 straight. You know, they had that good run. They haven't had Victor Oladipo, who does tend to have some success against us. But we play them tomorrow. I don't know if Joe will be back. We'll see. You know, they don't have Christian Wood. They're missing guys. They're missing Christian Wood. I think they're missing Eric Gordon, too. They're missing Victor Oladipo. They're missing a lot of their scoring, and they're struggling. They're a very good defensive team, though, frustrating to deal with. So we'll see. You know, that's at home. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe sits, depending on his back is. Man, that's scary. The back thing is scary. You know, he better not fucking play in the All-Star game is all I'm saying. Don't play in the All-Star game. So, you know, we'll see. That's it. That's it, everybody. There'll be another podcast breaking. I may wait until we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of trade talk, a lot of trade chatter going on. So we'll see if trades happen and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do a podcast kind of going over the NBA. If you haven't checked out my WandaVision breakdown. I put that up yesterday for episode 6 of WandaVision. You know, because I'm a nerd and that's what I do. You know what I mean? I just do real shit as a nerd. And that's it. Everyone stay safe out there. You know the drill. Wash your hands. Black Lives Matter. Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor. Stay safe.
Yeah. Justice for the blind. Just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind. Used to come